Good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Fire Caves, a Star Trek podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Perry.
I'm your host, David. Tonight we're going to be doing a 2-for-1 episode. We're going to do two episodes today. First episode is going to be Star Trek Voyager Season 2, Episode 7, Parturition. Hope I said that right. And then Persistence of Vision, Episode 8 of Season 2 of Voyager. Before we continue, you can find us on Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube as The Fire Caves, a Star Trek podcast.
That is correct, and as I say every single week, you should find us and follow us because we are great, we're awesome, we're a good time, and we are doing two episodes tonight in an attempt to basically get caught up, as it were. We've had a lot of, breaks and misses, and David had things he had to do. I had things I had to do. Both of us had things that we were all over the place with, and it just made me realize that we were slipping here. Our dedication to Voyager was not the same as it was for us getting through Deep Space Nine. So I wanted to take that time to address that, get us back on track, and get us, flowing with episodes again. So this is our attempt to do so. So because of that, we're not going to be doing a major recap of our weeks, what we've been up to a certain degree. But I do just want to ask David really quick: did you have a good week at all?
It was fine. I started reading The Two Towers. So, yeah,
Okay.
I think I said last week I just started, but I'm still
Yeah.
reading it then, I guess is the proper way of saying it.
Yep.
So,
And I pretty good week so far. I have started reading the new book in the new James S.A. Corey series. Got my copy right here, The Mercy of Gods. As I said before, I very early on in this, there are a couple of oblique references, which you could say are references to the Expanse, but I haven't got deep enough into it to know if they legitimately are. There's enough significant drift here that it could be a totally new story. Part of me wants it to
right.
be new, but part of me also wants to feel like we're still dabbling in that world a little bit. So I'll keep you posted on that. So that's it. That's all we're going to do. Talking about our outside stuff. We got to get into these episodes. And the first one, of course, is Parturition, as David said.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, no real recaps, just the episode where Neelix and Paris have to work together to save a baby bird dinosaur looking ripoff thing, and the hijinks that ensue behind their weird lovers triangle they've got going on, trying to form with Kess.
Yeah.
Um, so, David, this was, of course, this is your first time watching this episode. Where what did you think? And now that you're getting to see this kind of development here for Voyager, what do you think here?
Yeah, I thought this episode was a good one. It was a necessary thing that they do. So, quick recap, Paris is with Kess, and he's teaching her how to basically pilot a runabout, and sends her through a difficult situation, and she's like, "Oh no, what are you doing to me?" And he's like, "This is how it really is. Don't pretend like it's always going to be easy." And they come out, and they're laughing, and they're having a good time, and Neelix sees them, and he's upset, and so Paris goes and talks to Kim, and it admits that he's fallen for Kess, or he's falling for her or something. And Kim basically tells him, "You seem to like this kind of situation. You set yourself up for failure." And I think it's actually a legitimate critique of Paris. I imagine there's probably some truth to it. I think it's his dad that set that up in him, and we'll get to talk about that more in the next episode. But they go to the mess hall, and Paris refuses to sit across from Cass, and she notices, and Neelix is pissed, so they get into a food fight with some. It looks like spaghetti, but they call it like hair, like some
Yeah,
animal's
it's like
hair.
we have angel hair pasta. It's the same thing. Think of it.
Yeah, but there's a legitimate animal that this pasta apparently comes out of. So pretty awkward and nasty, but they have a food fight. And right as they have the food fight, of course, Captain Janeway calls them into her ready room, and basically tells them to get a handle of themselves because she needs them to go on a mission. The planet that they're going toward is an M class planet and they need to go there to try and find food because their food stores are low. And Paris being their pilot and Neelix being the chef, they need them to go down and examine Planet Hell, as they call it, because it's got some pretty weird atmosphere, and figure out what's going on down there and if there's any food. Of course, it's a dangerous trip down. Paris is forced to crash land the runabout, and there's no real food stores anywhere on the planet. And they instead find an egg that hatches in front of them, and this little bird creature comes out of it, and they feel responsible for trying to take care of it until its parent shows up. Turns out its parent is an alien that has its own ship that tries confronting Voyager, but Voyager is able to basically ignore it. Voyager goes down to the planet itself. It doesn't quite land, but it's the window of opportunity that's presented to find Paris and Neelix. Paris and Neelix stay around long enough for the alien on their ship to beam down and like take possession of its child, and then they all beam back. And while they're bonding over this little baby alien, Paris confesses that Neelix was correct, that Paris is a womanizer, and that he did have something for Kess, but that he promises not to do anything about it anymore. Neelix actually apologizes first, saying he shouldn't have started the fight. But Paris says, "I respect you," and so this whole little love triangle is over. Um,
I'm going to tell you right now, this is a stupid episode. I'm I'm just going to say it's a stupid episode. I get why it's necessary because Neelix, they needed a way to kind of get a handle on the jealousy that we've been seeing running rampant with
right.
Neelix. And also, this is a bit of a vehicle for us to see a little development in Tom Paris. So
Yes.
far, all we had seen of Tom in the pilot, he was messing with the other pilot before she died. He does have this reputation of being a bit of a womanizer, which, I'm just going to stop right there. And that is a trope used in Trek a lot that they never adequately show justification for. They've they try it, but they never really make it work. Like
Yeah.
they did this with Riker. Riker was, our tall, pretty boy. The
Hmm.
women just, couldn't help but, want him and so forth. And I mean, without there were several instances where Riker definitely leaned into that. But was that all that Riker ever did? No,
Right.
of course not. And if there was any woman that he ever showed any consistent interest in, it was Deanna. He was
Right.
very, like yes, they obviously had a thing. They were together, then not, then were, then not again. And he's, he's seeing other people, she's seeing other people. But it's done in as close to a healthy way for the late 80s and early 90s as possible. They're trying to move on with their lives. They're trying not to be hung up on each other or affecting each other's relationships. There's even an episode where Troy starts seeing someone, a negotiator, Devanani Rawl, and Rawl tries to play the fact that he's the man in Deanna's life against Will. And Will straight up tells him, he's just like, if she can bring you happiness, then nothing would make me happier.
Right.
You know, there's no womanizing. He's not anguished over her or jumping
He,
into bed with the very next woman he sees or any of that crazy nonsense that they do. There's just not enough justification
he's more of
for
a charming flirt when he needs to be. He's a
right.
charming guy. He knows how to flirt. He
and he
does,
and he
yes,
obviously goes out and he if you want to call it dating, he does that. But again, we don't have
yes,
like a it's not like this is Monday he's with this one, Tuesday he's with that one, Wednesday any of that. They're moving literally through the galaxy and he's
yeah.
meeting people, and he is softer and more sympathetic to certain women when the situations come up, but we never beyond I can think of two that he actually pursues, seduces,
Right.
and so forth. He does have, like you said, he does have his flirtatious moments, but that's about it. They do the same thing here with Tom. We're supposed to assume that he's got this, Lothario type about him. But so far, the only evidence we've ever seen with that is his holodeck women,
Yeah,
which we're not supposed to take seriously anyway because it's the holodeck. Nothing is real.
right.
So if you mean to tell me that you want me to think of him as this ladies' man because he's programmed holographic programs to want
So
him,
yeah, yeah,
that doesn't work. That doesn't work.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, I'll be even more blunt. Anyone can program a brothel and walk into a programmed brothel and come out.
yeah, yeah,
That's the whole plot, by the way, of the show Westworld, is that all of these robots have been programmed to, screw you because you want to screw them. They're as close to the real thing as possible, except they're not, of course. And then, anyway, yeah, he's a womanizer, maybe.
he's a womanizer in theory. It's like
Yes,
these are all stories that all of you guys have heard. No one has ever seen him in action in
right,
that particular regard. You're all new to each other, so you have no real reason to believe the stuff that you've heard about anybody,
right,
really. And even based on that, there's not enough evidence right now in this. We'll be gracious and say, your first year
hmm,
into your long trip home, there's nothing there that says that's who he is. Now, him being friendly with Kess and trying to teach her things, and him developing feelings through that, yeah, that's a problem because he knows that she's with Neelix, and
right,
so him allowing himself to fall down that particular rabbit hole is an issue.
right.
But Neelix's reaction and some of the other crew's reactions they just annoy me. They don't come off well. Like Neelix is already a problem with his
Yes,
jealousy and needing to get over it.
right,
Kess is not, your toy that you get to just lock away to yourself. She's a full-on person. She has every right to associate with whoever she wants to associate with. And you know what? If she does happen to wander, stray, whatever, y'all got to deal with that different way. You can't get mad and be, acting ridiculous and throwing food the way that these two later on. I
well,
also don't
part
feel
of
like
well,
Janeway took that seriously enough when
oh
they got
yeah,
to
I
that level.
agree. She's like, do we have a
She's
personal problem here? And,
she's
and
kind of smirking too about the situation, kind of hinting that she's aware of what's the full measure of what's going on. And rather than one, heavily chastising her officer, Ensign
yes,
Tom Paris,
yes,
for conducting himself in such an unbecoming manner with a civilian, you
yes.
know,
Who's already in a
um,
relationship? I mean,
who's
really,
already clearly in a relationship, and he's not just a civilian, he's a new alien. The girl involved in this is also a new alien. You're supposed to be fostering, ties and whatever else, and these
right?
two are hurling food at each other in your mess in front of all your other officers and crew members and stuff. I would have thrown Paris in the brig and told Neelix, you know what, like one more infraction, you're off my ship. Like you're just it's not worth the potential division and blow to morale and all the other things if that goes far south.
right.
And yeah, just not a good idea at all for them to just be like, we're gonna stick y'all together and make you work it out. We know it's over a girl, so figure out a way to be pals.
Right.
Okay, bye. Get out of here, you scamps. That's kind
Yeah.
of how she treats. I did not like that at all.
Yeah. All I'll say is that this episode was tailored for the two of them to be in a position where they're confronted with each other. And I liked that because it was a plausible scenario. They did a good job
Yeah,
playing a plausible scenario. The whole baby bird thing is a miss the whole way through. That whole thing is just weird.
they
It,
bond over taking care of a creature. Like
for
that's
like
the way
10
they bonded.
minutes.
Right. Like
Yeah.
why couldn't y'all have given? You could have. There's any number of ways they could have bonded on this planet. I mean,
And Neelix calls himself a godmother at the end, not godfather. I'm like, I don't even know why you had to be weird about all that. Just like, I'm the baby's uncle and I'm the baby's godmother. It's like, you guys
it's
got way
that
too invested in this little baby bird thing you guys found. And they should have ran the hell away from it because anyone who knows that you found a baby creature, it's generally the case that the parent is nearby and ready to kill you for being anywhere near its young. Um, like the parent, when the parent shows up, it's like an alien being, like has a spacesuit on, but it like acts like a creature, acts like an animal. It like bumps heads with, I don't know. It looked it. They were trying to make too much of this little thing.
They were trying to make it a truly alien situation that is going to be more about these two having to rely on each other to figure it out than Paris perhaps being able to talk his way out of a situation with another rational alien species,
Right.
and not need Neelix so much. And because again, the original reason they went down there was to find food. Neelix's expertise for finding food, Tom's expertise with piloting. That's why they were together.
Right.
So it's just like we have to make sure that the basic skill traits that we are using to force these two together hold. And if we suddenly put Tom into a first contact situation, then the message shifts,
Right.
and we don't want that. So
Right.
yeah, you're dealing with now this weird alien that is somehow very guttural and primal and hostile, but who also has space ring technology and can
Yeah.
clearly function beyond this planet and whatever. Like it, yeah, not thought up very well. If it
Right.
had been a creature that they found that was native to the planet that they had to avoid while Neelix was trying to find food or whatever, would have been a little bit different, a bit more of a convincing story. But they also needed a way to keep Voyager out.
Yeah.
So that's the why. That's
Yep.
the reason the ship was brought in.
Yeah.
We have to separate these two from backup
Right.
in any way.
I would have rather this episode had something like, "Hey, Paris, Neelix, this planet isn't necessarily the worst thing ever, but there are some, we don't ever know what the dangers are or not. But meanwhile, we want to drop you guys off and have you guys just kind of make sure this is a planet worth exploring. Meanwhile, Tuvok and a team have been off doing something over on a different planet nearby, so we're gonna go run, pick them up, and come back. Meanwhile, the
Yeah,
two of them have to then spend a couple days together and they have to basically,
traverse the
learn.
terrain and
And there's
find
some
foodstuffs
danger.
to keep each other alive. There's these rabid creatures that are, after them for, for whatever reason that, creatures would be, and they're having to survive because they're out of range of Voyager, so that it's just them, their wits and their skills.
Yeah,
and
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 Neelix like spends
yeah,
some time working on figuring out if these things are edible, like the plants are edible,
maybe he
and
thinks
so
something is, and he gets sick because he eats it, and now Tom's got to take care of him a little bit, and
right.
yeah, there's like a whole other way. And
Yep.
that's right there. Y'all just saw this, that's 2 minutes of thinking about the episode
Right.
and giving us something else besides whatever. Easily done. I'm
Right.
not saying that I know all of what it takes to be a writer for a show or a showrunner or
Yeah.
any of
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, but I feel like at this point I could come up with better episodes than some of these that they're out there. Now, I mean, we're going to get into some others that are really great episodes, but I just think this was a stupid episode. There wasn't enough here to make me invested really in either storyline. Like I don't care that Neelix is feeling jealous about Kes and Tom. Like they haven't done enough to make me think their relationship is worth salvaging anyway. So I don't care enough. Tom, you almost get me there, but I don't believe that he's truly developed these hardcore feelings for Kes. I think that maybe he's lonely, and he's one
Yeah.
of, there's a lot of people like him on Voyager, and he suddenly finds this connection with this very bright, very friendly
And
young woman
attractive.
who has,
Yeah.
yeah, who
She's
has an
attractive.
interest
Yeah.
in what he does. She's interested in learning what he does, and so I could see him going from
I mean, yeah, let's
being
put it.
professional and wanting to teach her to suddenly he's spending a lot of time with her, and he's reading more into a situation that's really there because again, overall, he's lonely.
Well,
And
yeah, and like
yeah,
if the doctor, for example, was a real man, I'm pretty sure the doctor would have a crush on her. The only reason she's even with Neelix, frankly, is because Neelix got there first. It would seem he was
yeah,
the one who was there when she needed someone, and he helped her. And she's more with him out of like loyalty and history then because I
Yeah,
mean
again,
honestly,
they
what
don't do
do
a good
Kess
job.
and Neelix have in common with each other?
Well, I mean, they don't. And see right there, that question proves that they don't do enough to sell us on those two as a legitimate couple. I
Right.
mean, if because they're both aliens, but they're both native to the Delta Quadrant, and their species have had dealings with each other in the past. They have more in common, or they should have way more in common than anybody else on Voyager would have with Neelix or have with Kess,
Right.
because they're from the same neck of the woods,
Right.
just on that alone. And the fact that they don't sell us on it and make it seem like Kess does seem to, you know, blossom a bit now that she's around our Alpha Quadrant individuals.
Yeah.
That's another problem for the Neelix Kess dynamic, and they don't address it well. They make her seem like she is adapting and coming out of her shell a bit. She's
Yes.
doing more, and they're showing Neelix as being very possessive and
Yes.
jealous and hostile.
Even in
Not
the
a good
next
look.
episode, the false version of Neelix that shows up, like I mean, it's a false version in the next episode that shows up and talks to her, but he talks about being wanting there to protect her. I'm here to protect you, and we can see that being a real behavior that Neelix would have is
Right.
I'm here just to protect you. He doesn't have anything to offer her out because he's not a well developed character. And I was
Yeah.
actually thinking about this during the episode and wanted to say it here because the problem with Neelix more than anything else I would say is we don't really understand who this guy is. Where did he come from? Now we understand that he claims to have traveled the Delta Quadrant and has these connections and did this and did that. In the last episode, he like bragged to Janeway that he was some I forget what the episode was about, but I just remember Neelix in last week's episode was preening in front of Janeway because he had some sort of reputation throughout the quadrant for whatever it was he was proposing that he do. And I was like, bro, I don't know if you in any way are literally like you are like insane and you're just literally making stuff up in your own head and convincing yourself, or if he actually maybe might have some sort of reputation. Like,
See, and that's part of the issue. It's like so much of what he says, we can't really tell, where the truth begins or ends, and the rest of it is just inflation for ego's sake. He very
right,
much wants to be viewed as an important individual to Captain Janeway, to the rest of the crew. He has a problem with anything that diminishes him in that regard, but he also really hasn't done anything particularly spectacular to warrant the kind of acclaim that he's looking for. And if anything, Kess makes him look worse,
right,
because she starts off as our innocent here, but then we watch as her natural abilities start to become more into the forefront. She's learning, she's adapting, she's making friends, she's making connections, she's putting herself out there. She's doing a lot of the things that we appreciate, and make her kind of this rising star among these other crew members here. And again, because of that, it makes Neelix look bad, because Neelix is like, I'm already a star. I should already have this stuff. And it's not the same. Not the same at all. I just wish that overall they had given us a better context for Neelix and Tom working things out with each
mhm,
other, and making that resolution stronger, showing that they had bond over um, a true personal adversity, something,
right.
than this whole baby thing. That, I mean, if you really think about it, they didn't really resolve. They just didn't kill the baby.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and it's funny too because here on Wikipedia it says it took 8 people to make that little baby thing work. Like puppet, it was a puppet, and there were like 8 people that were puppeting that thing. I was like,
Uh,
what? 8 of you?
so,
Really?
so what you're telling me is y'all are willing to hire a fraud like Jamake Highwater, but you won't hire the Jim Henson Muppet Company to help you out and do your puppets. And the Jim
It's
Henson Muppet Company was very much active during this time period. A little show, another sci-fi show called Farscape, was well in production at this time. So if you know, you know.
right,
Puppets. It's a great show.
right.
All right. I think that's enough for this one. We're right
Well,
at the
I just want to quickly say before we finish, I agree we're
yeah.
almost done, but just want to say the conversation that Neelix and Paris have, where they like make up the end of the episode, it is forced, but the whole episode is forced, and so there for you say it's dumb. I get it. I agree in part, but the stuff like where Paris admits, yes, I was hitting on your girl, like that. I would rather the character admit to that than lie about it and be like, I never
No.
really had
Yeah.
anything. And when he was talking with Kim early in the episode, he's like, I'm having some sort of crush, and I'm talking with my friend about it. And then Kim being like, bro, like you have a problem. You need to figure it out. I liked those scenes in
I,
for what they were. Yes,
okay.
this
Yeah.
I just because this episode is directly addressing this issue, and so those scenes were the scenes they wanted to focus on, and so they gave them more focus. They did give them their time. It's all of the background stuff that didn't quite work out, and yeah, I mean I agree that it's a silly little conflict for them to have because Neelix is a silly character. That's more my problem is that Neelix is not a character that can have those conversations very well. Actually, he's also the kind of character who will do that where at the end of an episode he'll suddenly grow a moral spine and then then have his I'm sorry, Kess, for not trusting you
Not
kind of
yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Um,
His frame of reference is always through that lens of being very overprotective of
yeah,
Kess, and it's a problem.
right,
It's very much a problem.
yeah,
I will say I do appreciate the scene with Tom and Harry calling Tom out and just being like, what you're doing is stupid
yeah,
and you need to straighten up. And I mean, I only wish that Janeway had spoken to Tom with a bit of that same kind of severity. You
right,
are a Starfleet officer. You
right.
know how to conduct yourself, and you're not doing that. And what's worse, you're involving a couple of civilians, and you're making our potential relationship as a crew with them stressful,
You know
and for no reason. For no reason.
the the only thing I would say there, though, you are right, but there is one little hiccup for me is that because he was kicked out of Starfleet, etc. Maybe she feels like she can't quite like she can't. She can go to Tuvok and say that. She could go to Kim and say that. But his relationship with Starfleet and being an officer is obviously more complicated. So maybe for her, she's also rolling her eyes, being like, "You two have been dealing with this dumb problem for however long. Figure it out. We got problems. We got real problems to deal with. So get to it.
So
I don't have time to throw you in the brig while we gotta figure out
right.
our food storage or our food situation." Um,
So that almost works, except for a couple of things, and one of them you can be forgiven for because we don't really see it, but we know it happens. The first is Tom is a Academy graduate. He actually did finish
yeah, I
Starfleet
know.
Academy. So
Sure. Yeah,
there's
yeah,
one. So he was at one point he was a commissioned officer at the rank of ensign. He didn't make it past ensign, but he was an ensign. Second, on Voyager when he takes over for the dead former pilot and becomes Voyager's now default pilot, at some point Janeway installs him again as Ensign Tom Paris. We don't see that, but we know that's what happens because here we are and she refers to him as Ensign Paris, and we've heard her call him Ensign Paris a few times, so we know that at some point she did reinstate him. So with that and him accepting the reinstatement and being an ensign again, she absolutely can be like, "Look, you're an officer. You
sure.
can't act this way." And the fact
Yeah,
that she doesn't to me is still a problem. I'm not saying
I
that she needs to throw the book at him and be like, "30 days, brig."
yeah.
Like I don't need. I'm not saying that, but I do feel like she should have definitely been like, "Look, I know you know better,
Right,
and this is again, you're messing up several potential things for us here. Straighten up."
right.
So, but every officer's captain's command style is different. I know that had that been Picard in that situation, he definitely would have, you know, ripped into both of them for their
Right.
behavior on this ship. So, yeah, Cisco probably would have hit him. But yeah, I think that's all I'll say for this particular episode. Um, the next one we have is Persistence of Vision. So this is the one where we have a very stressed out, overworked Captain Janeway,
Hmm.
who the doctor is telling her to take a break, get away from it all, go to the holodeck. She goes to the holodeck where she's uh, enjoying her 18th century Jane Eyre ripoff uh, program. When
Hmm.
it starts to malfunction, we'll say,
Sure.
and she's having these weird, visions and things that are happening to her. She later on goes to have lunch, and there's cucumber sandwiches, which is from the program, and a teacup that's from the program.
Right.
And just little things that keep popping up that she calls a coincidence. Then some other people start to see things. No, Kess starts to see things when she goes to sick bay to get checked out by the doctor. Kess sees some things as well and is like, "Yeah, okay, Captain, you're not crazy. I saw it too. I felt this too." And now they're really trying to investigate. The captain is relieved. They make contact with this alien species whose space they're trying to get permission to navigate through on their way home.
Hmm.
The incredibly xenophobic species is like, yeah, no, not you're not doing that. Um, Janeway is still trying to make the meeting happen, but it's not. And then it turns out ultimately that her visions and then the subsequent visions of every other crew member are from this alien species that they were setting out to meet in the first place. It's manipulating them to basically stop working and take over their ship. So ugly little alien, ugly little troll thing that
Yeah.
we see that's revealed. And once again, Cass and her blossoming abilities
Yeah.
is our savior in
Yeah.
this episode.
Uh
So,
huh.
yeah, very important. And again, I'm gonna say it. This episode's a little stupid, and we'll get into why I think it's stupid,
Yeah.
but it is cool. Some things, cool effects, whatever. But ultimately, stupid episode. But go ahead. What did you think?
Well, so I imagine what you'll say about. Well, yeah, I shouldn't say what you're going to say. But I mean, you know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
The episode is kind of dumb because it starts off being a hollow suite problem, and then it turns into actually these aliens are actually somehow causing people to have visions of people they know and being caught up in the hallucination that they're actually seeing someone. Whether or not it seems that this alien has a physical ability, some sort of super psychic ability to show multiple people visions that they then get caught up into, and they lose the ability to act. But I mean, Janeway like fights with one of her visions at one point in sick bay. Um, like
In sick bay, in her quarters.
yeah,
Yeah, the female from the holodeck program comes at her with a knife.
yeah.
At one point.
But we have to
It's
start with why it's dumb because unfortunately the Hollow novel, this Hollow novel that Janeway is doing is a mess.
it
Uh,
is. It's weird. It honestly it's weird. I
it's
can't think of
weird and
any other way.
off-putting. It's
Yeah,
it's
it is. And it's one of those things where I just know that it was the brainchild of somebody who was like, we need to put Janeway in her place a little bit
right.
here. And so it's like we have our powerful, smart captain is
Hmm.
now going all the way back to the Victorian era where women were put upon and all she could be is a governess, and she's being subjected to these weird kids who the one
Yeah.
boy is like 5 years old and he's a smart ass. I wanted to slap him,
Oh yeah,
and
that kid.
I
Ooh.
just I just like I was like back of my hands itching.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
I couldn't just so arrogant, and
Yeah.
then
for a kid. Yeah,
Yeah, and he's supposed to be like what, 5, 6?
5, 6.
You
Yeah,
know,
he's yeah,
and it's like, yeah, no, not at all. And then of course the other woman who's like the matron of the house, I
right.
guess. She's real bitchy. Yeah, she's winning friends real easy.
Yeah.
Fun to note that actress has appeared several times in Trek. Typically though, she plays um, a Romulan. She is the Romulan commander
Oh,
in a
okay.
few episodes of Trek. As
Yeah.
a matter of fact, the Next Generation, the one with the Iconians, and then the one where Troy goes undercover as a Romulan herself, as the head of the Tal Shiar.
Yeah, she's got a
Uh,
Romulan face, just
yeah,
without
she
even the
does.
without even the makeup. She's a
Yeah,
Romulan.
she does. She's got very, very high cheekbones and strong angles, so
Yes.
it works for her very well.
Yeah.
Um,
But
but
the
yeah,
worst part is, I mean, if Tom Paris doesn't deserve any, deserves some criticism for writing up a brothel. I mean, let's put it this way: if I'm gonna be very blunt here, men like the visual, women like the sensual stories. I'll put it that way. They like to have their characters in rom coms and in spicy books. I'll put it that way. So Janeway is just as guilty, in my opinion, of inserting herself in a situation where the opposite sex is enamored with your character, whoever you are. I mean, Paris doesn't pretend to not be himself while he does it, but you know,
yeah, and see, and this is why I always find the holodecks problematic, because when we're first told about them, they're supposed to be a training tool, an enhancement tool. They're put on the ship so that people can have the ability, again, to train for different scenarios and so forth. Um, then very quickly, though, it's the entertainment venue is the holodeck and the
Mhm.
holosuites. We're no longer going there to train. We're going there to relax.
Right,
And we can create any scenario you want. You want to be lost in the forest, riding on a horse and, having a picnic with the literal woman of your dreams that you've built, program line by program line. We can do that. You want to scan your crew members and force their likenesses to participate in whatever lurid fantasy you've got going on. We can do that. Like it, how quickly it was its purpose was perverted, even in Trek, is alarming. It should be
right.
studied. And we see Janeway inserting herself into this position where, like, again, I don't know how this works. Is the holo novel a story that was like an original work that someone created and she's
Right.
fitting into a role? Is
Yeah.
this a book that she read that she's had the computer recreate for her where she's going to be portraying a role? Like, is this her own imagining? Did Janeway come up
Right.
with this program the way that Tom came up with the his program, and she's working her way through her own uh, creative fantasy there? We don't know, but we do know she's supposed to have this fiance that she's
Yes.
still very much devoted to. So
Is
why
she?
would you,
Yeah.
right? Why would you put yourself into a holodeck program where you're the love interest of a character, unless
Right.
collectively as a society everyone agrees that what goes on in the holodeck stays in the holodeck? That's about the
Except
only
if
way
your
that it
name is
works.
Barkley, I guess.
Barkley or Tom Paris, because again, he's called
Well,
out
I
for
mean,
his program.
remember the Geordie LaForge? He's working with the engineer
Yeah.
chick, and then she finds herself in there and she freaks out. So apparently, I understand your theory, but I think it's been disproven by
Well,
now.
see, Barkley was a particularly interesting case because even in that episode, they did say, because he was missing, and it was Troy, Geordi, and Riker, and they were looking for him, and they found out that he was on the holodeck, and Riker was pissed. And so they all went down to the holodeck, and on the way there, Riker was like, "What program is he running?" And Geordi was like, "I don't know. We, you know how we typically don't look into people's holodeck
Mm,
programs. And
right.
Riker
Okay.
was like, no, at this point, we've got to, because he's always in there. We need
Right.
to figure out what's going on with him to get him to engage in the role. Because that was what the whole episode was about, was that Barkley was very withdrawn and he was in the holodeck way too much, and they were trying to get him out. And
Right.
Riker was just like, I'm at my limit dealing with
Yeah.
Barkley. Even right now, we're living the episode. I almost called him
Yes.
broccoli, but it's Barkley.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so Geordi is the one who tells us typically people don't go into other people's holodeck programs unless you're invited.
Right.
So we don't know what he's doing in there. And then when they go in there and they see what he's been up to and how he's recreated them and made them, goofish caricatures of themselves, Riker's outraged. He's the first one who's outraged.
Right.
And then Deanna's like, no, 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 it's not that bad. And then they round a corner and they see her standing there as the envision embodiment of the goddess of love, I think they called her in the thing. And she was upset then, and Riker was like, no, no, counselor,
Right.
what'd you just tell me? And so what we're seeing in that moment is that they're basically intruding into, again, someone's fantasy. And even when it was over, after they found Barkley, they leave the holodeck and everything else. Riker, I believe it is Riker who says, like, I don't care what you do, but you have a job to do. You were supposed to be somewhere. We are depending on a report from you, and we don't have it because you're in the holodeck messing around. So
Yeah.
yeah, I always took that as the holodeck is basically the outgrowth of our inner fantasies. You're not supposed to see those unless you're invited, and you're not supposed to be judged on them.
Mm,
Like, that's just, it's private. It's private.
right.
Don't go in there unless someone says so.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, so the first thing I'll say about it, there's two things to say. One, when she starts seeing visions of Mark, Mark definitely calls her on it and is like, "Hey, I've been loyal to you. Have you been loyal to me?" And she acts guilty. So
Yeah.
at the very least, you might have privacy in there, but people still know. At least it seems in their heart of
Well,
hearts.
she
They're
well
still
she
doing
knows,
something.
right? She knows.
Right.
Now there is a line in this episode that I found funny, funny, interesting, and it was when uh, Neelix has gotten Janeway to agree to have their meeting as a working lunch, so she's going to come down to the mess hall. And he starts listing off all the food: the Selton pate, Nestle
Hmm.
strips, deviled throck, and then they get to the cucumber sandwiches. And then there is the teacup that he serves her tea in, and she's freaking out about him because
Right.
obviously cucumber sandwiches, teacup, those are both things from a holiday program, and she's surprised to
Right.
see them there. In that scene, did you notice that Janeway, she picks up a cucumber sandwich, doesn't eat it,
Yeah.
doesn't eat it, puts
Oh,
it
but then
back
later he says he
on the
did eat
tray.
it. Yeah.
Well, no, she puts it back on the tray. So I was like, you took a sandwich, your
Oh,
hands, your fingers, all over
yes.
it.
Once you've claimed
Uh,
it, it's yours.
yeah.
Screw that.
But then
Yeah.
she says, the thing that she says that was funny to me was, she said, I just have to convince myself that there's such thing as a coincidence, and coincidences happen. I immediately thought of Garrick, because Garrick said, oh yeah, coincidences do happen. Coincidences happen every day. I just don't trust
Yeah.
coincidences.
Right.
And everything that followed after that, I was like, if Janeway had met Garrick, she would have known right then that something was wrong, because
Yes.
you had two coincidences happen within literal seconds of each other, and
Yeah.
you still tried to pretend like everything was okay. No,
Right.
ma'am. You just saw two
Yeah.
things from the holodeck. You should be on heightened alert right
Yeah.
now. Shut it down.
How is it that cucumber sandwiches ended up when you don't have access to cucumbers or bread? And how in the world would teacups be in storage
Very
on the
ornate floral teacups, precisely matching the pattern from the one that you saw on the holodeck.
right? She should
And
have immediately been like,
absolutely, shut it down. Red alert. We're going.
yeah.
Yeah. Where are we
Well,
going? Turn around.
or send herself to sick bay. I mean,
Yeah.
so here's the thing. I'm going back to the Hollow Suite for a second. when the episode opens, she goes down to engineering because they're trying to install these hollow projectors so that the doctor can start showing up on different parts of the ship.
Mhm.
Um, the whole bit where he comes, like they try it and he comes out like a foot
He's like,
tall.
yeah, he's like this big.
Like I don't know why it was like, guy, you don't have to make a joke out of this, guys. Like just say this is their first attempt,
So
and
that was totally just the fact that this was mid '90s, and
they
they
had
were
to do
showing
something.
off. They were showing off technology. They
All
were
right, fair
showing
enough.
how far they could come. So that's what this was. Look at this special effect that we've got that we're going to put on TV, not in a movie, on TV. We're
All
excited.
right,
That's what that was.
give
Yeah.
it to him. Okay, but then Janeway like chews out Kim for like, I don't got time for this, and it's like, lady, you're the captain. You could have said that literally any
Oh,
point before showing up down here.
that
So when the
that's
doc,
another thing we're going to talk about. Go ahead.
but the doctor is then like, okay, you obviously are stressed. You need to go take a break. You need to go relax. And how does Janeway relax? By going into a, as you said, like 17th century, 18th century uh, boarding situation where you're the governess of these two ridiculous kids, and the husband
Yeah.
is hiding his dead wife on the fourth floor, and he's falling in love with. Like that's not
It
calming.
was right. It was like you chose. The doctor said to relax, and you chose two small children.
Yeah,
Like
like you
nothing
should
about the
literally.
situation is relaxing.
I
Go
expect you to go
swim.
on a picnic. Like you
Right.
could go on a
Go
picnic.
swimming. You know. Go rock climbing. You don't two toddlers. What are you doing?
Yes, exactly. Um, I would rather you have a holographic version of Mark, your fiance, join you, and you be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you're not my real fiance, but I'd rather have the false version of you here than not." Like, I still
You
think that would
know
be a problem, but
that is brilliant. I don't know why I never thought about it. If you have the ability to reprogram characters in the holodeck, why wouldn't you make them images at least of your loved ones?
yeah,
You know that you're not going to be able to see your fiance, so but you've got plenty of pictures of him.
right,
Scan the picture and put it on the dude's face. Then yeah, it's not unfaithful. He's your constant companion in every holodeck program that you do. You want
right.
to go to a beach and you're talked to by the random handsome stranger and it's him.
It's always
You
him. Yeah,
right. You go for
yeah,
a run and he rounds the corner and smiles at you.
right,
It's your guy. Like
yeah.
that's a perfect solution.
Well,
And
there is one hiccup I can think of, but keep going. Keep
well,
going.
I mean, yeah, yes, I can, but I'm just saying, like in the immediate, not the long
Yes,
term. In the immediate, it
right.
solves the problem.
Yeah,
But see, that would be an interesting story to tell down the line. Let's say that she had done that, and then we go through the whole course of Voyager, where throughout this whole thing, she's been building this relationship with hologram Mark, you know, and then we
mhm.
get home, and her connection to hologram Mark is stronger than the one she's got with real life
Yes,
Mark because
that's
she has
great stuff.
slowly sculpted him to be her ideal man, and then
Right.
she gets home, and
And
while
that's
they
the
are
problem that Geordi
yeah,
LaForge encounters when he
exactly,
kisses
he's
the
different. They're
holographic. Yeah.
exactly. That would have
This
been a
is a
great
90% accurate. What does the computer say when she makes that lady
93. She was 93%
93%
accurate.
accurate to the real
Yes.
woman? Yeah.
And the one thing, and so it's like, okay, well, what's missing in that last 7%? A very crucial 7%.
Yeah.
She's freaking married.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Married. She's got a bit of a personality. She's not nearly as accommodating as the
yeah, she's not nearly as
holographic version.
personable,
Yeah.
right? She
Yeah.
was
She's
she
got a
was
bit of
rather
an edge to
cold.
her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. More like
Yeah,
83% than 93%.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
But anyway, going back to this, so this episode, yes, it's weird because it starts off with the things that she's seeing images of are from the holodeck, but so it gives us it's another episode that's is the holodeck malfunctioning episode, and then it turns into not the holodeck, but these aliens
Hmm.
are inducing hallucinations. Now, I will say, actually, in some ways, I think it is a good transition because they basically that was what was on her mind when
Hmm.
it starts to happen. But the problem is they never do a good job of setting up why it's happening to her. Why is she the one who
Well,
first starts to experience all
so
this?
they do
They
in
do?
that,
Did I miss
yes,
it?
because when we finally get to the point where they're meeting with the Botha, Janeway has already been relieved of command, and Chakotay is the one who actually makes first contact, and the guy says, uh, "Yeah, he makes first contact." They had already they had already no, uh,
Well, no.
they
At the
it's
beginning of
not
the
first
episode,
contact, it's
they were hailed initially.
right, but now they're going to meet them. So when it comes time for the meeting, Chakotay is the one that does the actual meet, not Janeway. The initial contact was with Janeway, but when it came time for the actual meeting, it was Chakotay because Janeway had been relieved of duty because of her potential psychosis.
Well, okay,
And
so yeah, okay, so let's say it this way. She was in the hologram or the holodeck when she was called to the bridge because they were being hailed, but they hadn't met yet. She comes on, she says, "I'm the captain. What do you want?" He says his
mhm,
bit, like how do we know?
this is both in space. How do we know that you're not hostile? All that kind of
Right.
stuff. She
And then
agrees to
she starts
talk.
experiencing the hallucinations. So
Well,
if
because
he was
right,
targeting the captain, because when
right,
later on when Chakotay's in charge, he says, "Where's the captain?" And he's like,
exactly.
"She's not
He
available." And
exactly.
he's actually like, "Oh, I'm gonna use that
He
as a
he was expecting Janeway to be
right."
there. And
Well, no,
then
but
they also
I think
say,
he knew that Janeway wouldn't be there because he was already taking her out of commission. He actually had targeted her. It just turned out that the Hollow Suite stuff was what she was hallucinating, as opposed to her. Later on, it turns out to be her fiance Mark, who she starts hallucinating, and
see, I
that's
always
what incapacitates her in the turbo lift.
I don't
Ultimately,
think that because see the way I viewed it was basically the alien was using his ability and was targeting the captain first so that the captain would be the one to turn over the ship. And what
oh,
saved them to a certain degree was the fact that for Starfleet, whenever a captain becomes incapacitated, they can be removed from duty
right.
and the next one in line takes over. And that's why the alien was surprised when Chakotay answered because other
Okay.
species don't do that, and they had other ships they were using, which again brings me my other issue. All the ships and stuff disappear
Yeah, they're
when the
fake.
guy says right. So it's just like how powerful is this alien? Because we don't really
Yeah,
know where he is. They didn't enter into a planetary system. They had crossed a line into both in space, but
right.
there was no solar system nearby. So how far away was this alien projecting all of this stuff? He affected every member of the crew except for the doctor and Kess.
Right.
And he made it appear that Voyager was being attacked by three ships.
Right.
So that is
Yeah,
a
he's super powerful.
incredible amount of right. And Kess is the one that is ultimately able to stop him. Again,
Resist
that's why
strong
the
enough.
episode,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like the episode is stupid because if he's that powerful, just drag the ship to you at this point. There's nothing you
Well,
can't do. You've surrounded it by three ships. It's being attacked, or at least you've got everybody on the ship thinking they're being attacked.
right.
So, yeah, what's to stop you from making Tom think he's entering in complex evasive maneuvers, and really all he's doing is entering
Oh,
in the plot and the course to your location.
well,
If you can create ships and that many different fake memories and images and stuff and fool all those people, you could do that.
maybe I would say that. I mean, what this alien is able to do is incapacitate people to go from incapacitating everybody and also showing them visions of things that are not happening, but then also knowing how to present an image to Paris that would cause him to move the ship a certain way. I would argue that's a step. That's like the next step. Maybe you're not wrong about like where it would go from there, but I think it was consistent. What he was doing more than anything else was just incapacitating the crew. He wasn't yet able to. Um, Now he was later on when Kess is trying to input stuff. He's able to turn off the doctor's screen.
Yeah.
So yes, you are right that at very least it is possible. I guess is what I'm getting at that because like the Neelix, they basically the Neelix vision was real. That's the real
But
question.
was real enough to be able to touch Kess
Yeah.
and manipulate things in the scene. Like he's working with
And
panels and
when
stuff
she
like that.
like mirrors stuff back at him, he like is reverted back to his true self and falls down. I don't think I think he lies when he says that I'm not really here. I think Captain Janeway, as soon as he said "because I can," she should have fired that beam at him and stopped him immediately because he basically just admitted to being just nefarious for nefarious' sake. He didn't.
Yeah,
He was
I
evil.
honestly I loved and hated that answer because
Yes.
I recognized that by him saying that it's basically a cop out. They don't have to wrap this up. We don't have to go to a
Right.
planet and see what technology he's using and do all that. We don't have to do that. It allows us to just end the episode with this weird
Hmm.
mystery or whatever.
Right.
But and so that's why I hated it. But I loved it in the sense that it's a great line for a malevolent entity to level, and it just
Yeah.
is like no grandiose speeches, no I'm secretly protecting my people because we were attacked
Yeah.
by a random
Yeah.
whatever a long
Uh
time
huh.
ago. None of that. It's just I do it because I can. Because
Right.
I'm evil.
Right. Right.
Like
Yeah.
I like that. I like that kind of
Yes.
he's just a bad guy.
Yep.
That's it. He's just a
Yep.
bad guy.
This character and the situation reminds me of the TNG episode where they have that female woman pretending to be a god and her ship is cloaked.
Ardra.
And Ardra, yeah. It's like basically this guy is a more competent version of Ardra.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, that's a fun episode. Picard, being like, "Can you stop me from doing this?" And she's just
Yeah,
like,
and he's having his cue moment, snapping his
"Yes,
fingers and turning her into stuff and making the planet shake, and
yeah,
he's very much enjoying the gotcha,
yeah, yeah,
gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah, so um but yeah, this guy is definitely way more powerful than that if it's to be believed that this is like Janeway even insinuates like this could be a psychic ability. It could be a psychic ability augmented by technology. We'll figure it out and we'll stop you one way
yeah,
or another. I honestly would have liked to see that. I also would have liked to see, it's mild spoiler. We never see that alien again. I would
yeah." I
have
was
liked
gonna
to see
ask
the
you.
alien again. I would like to see him pop up another time or two, trying to mess with them in a similar fashion. Them having to rely on what they remembered from the last time to defeat him, and maybe he almost wins on that, that new go around or whatever. But no,
Right,
like a lot of other mysteries that had a lot of potential, he disappeared and is never seen again.
right,
So,
gotcha.
well, again, like I said, I just feel like this episode was a little dumb. I just like Kess's abilities are not we're supposed to believe they're not quite developed, not all the way. And yet she is the sole person on this ship who's able to understand and stop this creature. Like not even Tuvok with his mental abilities was able to be of any assistance whatsoever.
Right,
So again, I just think that they write things to, or at the time were writing things to highlight a certain character, but always forgetting what interplays there should have been based on what you've already told us about other characters. Like,
right.
I just feel like Tuvok shouldn't have been affected. He's a Vulcan who's also got telepathic abilities, and he also has a trained, disciplined mind. Why was he
Hmm.
affected?
Yeah,
And they don't give an explanation for it. They don't show him as being like, maybe it's something weird with Vulcans. Maybe he was more affected. He was
yeah.
the first one. Like, I don't know, something that would have made me feel a little bit better about them paying attention to the fact that you have already fully developed telepathic members of your crew who should
Well,
definitely be affected.
and the fact that, excuse me, I think it was this episode that Kess said that she's been like, again, all the crew is basically teaching her things. Like Tuvok and
Hmm.
her have been having lessons about her telepathic abilities, and Tuvok succumbed way more easily, even though he's way older and way more
And
experienced.
way more experience, right? Has way more practice. He should have picked up on it as well. And it's weird to say, but like I've read several Voyager novels, and that's one of the things that always made me so curious. Like, book Tuvok is way better than TV Tuvok. Way better. He's far more competent. He does more things to take care of the crew and support Janeway and things like that. And he doesn't fall for those things without there being an exceptional reason that they often explain that we don't have in the show.
Right.
Um, Now, one other thing I did want to talk about really quick was in the scene where Janeway is relieved of duty and she's in sick bay.
Yeah.
And so she's now telling Chakotay like a rundown of the things that she was, staying on top of, and she now wants him to stay on top of while she convalesces. I thought that was the biggest list of busy work I've ever heard in my life. Your ship is fine. Calm down, lay down, let the doctor do what he's got to do.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell him, oh, and this needs. She said, stay on top of Harry and B'Elanna. They're trying to install those emitters.
Right.
Okay, they know how to check in. They're adults. They're officers.
Right.
They're competent at their jobs. I'm not going to go down there and start hounding them to do the thing that they're already doing. She says some of the other things that were going on. Then she brings up Tuvok. Tuvok want to talk about, emergency weapon storage or something like that. Why? Your chief of security, your chief tactical officer, you don't have full faith that he's going to find a place to store his guns? I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
Like, the listing didn't make any sense at all. I get that she's supposed to be presenting to us as nervous, but yeah, it's just like, chill. Everybody knows their jobs. Everybody knows what's up. Like,
Yeah.
we're here for you to take care of yourself. Go
Right.
lay down.
Yeah, in that scene, it would have been better for her to be like, "All right, Neelix, I got to take a break, but I know how important it is. We're about to meet with these people, so like, give me the rundown real fast, or go to talk to Chakotay, give him the rundown real fast." Um, yeah, I agree. Her like like talking Chakotay through everything was was a silly
Yeah,
moment. I guess it was just
yeah.
like it was supposed to
It was
exemplify
Yeah, that
how
she's super busy.
stressed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and she's stressed. That's what it's supposed to be. Oh, you don't know what all the captain does in a day. Okay, your ship is like 147 people.
and
You're not
to be
dealing with
honest, I
thousands.
have to
Chill.
say, I feel like the first officer is probably the most put on person on the whole damn ship, right? The captain can go to his own private, large, expansive space and
Hmm.
relax at will. Yes, they get called by the rest of the crew for this and that, but you could be like, all right, first officer, you could take care of that. I'm taking a break. The first officer is supposed to be the one who like schedules all of the crew and disciplines the crew and is able to back up the captain whenever they need. So I feel like Chakotay probably has more on his plate than even she does. But what do I know?
Well, overall, I really wish that this episode they could have done a little bit more. Give us a little bit more. I guess more evil, less mystery, more evil for our bad guy here. And and again, and the holodeck thing just always throws me because that was a very expansive set they built for a holodeck program that we only got to see a handful of times. We never see that program again.
Right.
So you hired these actors, you got them dressed in period clothes, you're in the mansion, you got the photos and all the stuff hanging out. You had to do all of that for a scene that's in the episode, mm, 12 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It makes me wonder, like, the waste. Like, do you think that they build these sets like on the Paramount lot or whatever, right? And it's like, okay, scheduled for the balcony scene, we've got Star Trek Voyager, NCIS, LA Law, and Law and Order SVU. All of them are going to use the same set. We'll change a couple colors, but the basics is there. Film it. That group's done. Move on. Next production crew comes in, throws on their quick drapery. Film it.
I think
You
you're
know,
more wrong than right, or I'm sorry, more right than wrong there. Yeah, I feel like
I mean,
yeah,
because
we got a
it's just
stage.
impossible, right? Because I mean, it's so much stuff.
Yeah,
It's so much stuff. I mean, I feel like that's a lot to then immediately be taken down. or you've
Yeah.
rented this sprawling mansion because it's a plantation home and you're filming a piece that's done in that time. Okay, well, it's costing like $1 million a day to rent this out. So maybe before we sign up for that, we find 5 projects that also need a plantation home, and we split the cost. So we're going to film in the day because we need these shots, and then so from 12 to 3, it's, I don't know, the plantation project, we'll call it. And then, from 3 to 5, there's a music video. It's going to get shot in here. And then, for the nighttime scenes, we've got a whatever. Like, I feel like that's got to be how it's done, because otherwise y'all are just driving all over the place and filming scenes, and it's the cost has got to just be astronomical to all to be destroyed, or whatever, and put away and never touched again. Nah, surely
Right.
not. You know. Well, final thoughts on Persistence of Vision, or what was it? Yeah, that's it. That's what it's called.
Uh, I mean, both these episodes tonight, um, I think were serviceable episodes. They're not great episodes. I'm not loving Voyager like TNG or D Space Nine. The cat, this cast. I don't think the acting is as good. The characters aren't as interesting, so it's harder to get into it.
Yeah.
They're working at it. The whole Kess love triangle thing. I mean, I think that was a legitimate like plot line to go with, but they said they wanted to finish it so they could move on. So good, it's over. They better not bring it up again. Paris better not be hitting on her anymore. Actually, quick point. When she went to when she was going to engineering and she saw Paris there, even though we know he's already on bridge being distracted. It was a telling moment almost. It's almost like this episode should have happened before the previous one, because if they've already worked out the love triangle, why is it again that she's being distracted by Paris of all people? I mean, the alien didn't bring Neelix up first. The alien brought Paris to her first to distract her. Neelix was the backup plan, not the original plan. So anyway, so yeah, I mean, I think they're serviceable episodes, but they're just a little bit clunky. We still got some clunkiness going on
Yeah.
with storytelling here. I mean, this show gets 7 seasons, so I'm assuming that it's really going to tighten up at some point. They're going to
Yeah,
figure
no,
something
I will
out.
agree. Like, I think that it starts to find its footing here soon. We're getting
Okay, good.
there.
All right.
But yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a slog here that we got to get through
Right. I mean, I know the
before.
character of 7 of 9 when she shows up is going to give the show a shot in the arm.
Yes,
I think.
seven really does change the dynamic of the show. So yeah, and that's end of season 3 into season 4.
Gotcha.
So we got a bit to go.
Got a little
But
ways.
yeah, but we get some more good things from the others before that happens. So we're coming up on it. We just got to give it a little more time.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I think that's going to do it for us. I'm just going to say really quick again, I just think that these episodes, while they have like moments that were, I guess, important for certain characters to develop, overall, I just think they're dumb. I don't think they did enough to explain like why Paris and Neelix are suddenly going to bond. Like, there wasn't enough there for me to believe that they have a legitimate bond. Next episode, there's not enough there for me to believe that Kess is the only one who is not only unaffected by this alien, but is the sole responsible party for putting this very powerful telepathic alien in its place. So this is just a lot that I feel like they need to work on to get us there. But that's it. That's it for us on this episode. We will be back next week. I don't know if we'll do 2 again. We might, because the next episode is it's hard. It's hard to watch.
Oh, tattoo, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
They'll say anything.
Voyager's.
Oh, is
Okay,
this worse episodes?
it's. I was gonna say it's Voyager's Move Along Home, in my opinion.
Oh God!
Yeah,
Don't say that. Oh,
it's Voyager's Code of Honor. The
uh,
TNG season 1 episode 4. It's that. So yeah.
Man, you're not giving me very high hopes. Man,
It's just ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And
is the
yeah,
writing at least better? Because Move
no,
Along's tome writing is just terrible.
no, it's not.
Oh,
They try. They really do try to give you this kind of emotional, whatever. But it's just like
so
this.
the question
The
becomes,
whole subject matter is just like, really,
yeah.
really, come on, like,
Okay,
yeah.
so the question becomes: do we devote an entire episode to enduring the torture that is this next episode, or do we do a two-parter so that we can quickly get back to whatever is not that?
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it this week
All
because
right,
sometimes
sounds
we have
good.
a lot of fun tearing these episodes down, and this is a doozy.
Yeah,
So we'll talk about it and see what we decide to do for the next week. But until then, guys, as always, no new Trek updates for you other than Strange New Worlds is in full effect. So go watch it.
right.
The 60th anniversary of Star Trek is this September. So stay tuned for all the events and festivities that are supposed to be coming out for that. But other than that, until next week, take care of yourselves.
Thanks, guys.